नमस्कार आणि येवकार तुमका आयच्या पेज टर्नरच्या एपिसोडात. In today's episode of Page Turner, we have a writer who is civil engineer by profession, but his love for constructing verses is what fascinates us more. आमच्या बरोबर आज आसात महेंद्र काकुले. महेंद्र येवकार तुमका, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
Mahendra, it's always fascinating when people like doctors or engineers write poetry, and I'm sure you have had a bestseller in another book which is technical of sorts.
Yeah.
And today we have two poetry books written by you.
Yes.
The recent one, Threaded Musings, has just released.
Yeah.
So what is this love with poetry in spite of having a background of civil engineering, and have these two things crossed their paths in some sorts?
Yeah, so it's a pretty long question, and to go into the roots of my writings, I have to delve into my past.
True.
Yeah, so my father, late Srinivas Caculo, by himself was a writer.
Okay.
Writer of some repute in the sense his 5 books have been already published. 3 books were published during his lifetime and 2 got published after his demise. But as I was growing up, I always saw him reading books, thinking, writing. So it had that effect on me.
Yeah.
And when young, with him I would accompany him when he used to go to visit poets like Bakibab Burkar and Manor Bab. So it probably had an indirect impact on me.
Yeah.
My father was also a serious writer in the sense he not only wrote poetry and stories for children, but he also did some research work on improving of Devanagari Lipi.
Right.
So that sort of a person he was.
Yeah.
And then he is one of the best books that he published is Kani Dharmachi and Bharatiya Sanskriti. The title itself proves that it was a in-depth study of the Indian culture. So I think all these things, acted as a sort of a stimulus for me, not only to read, but also like, I should be leaving a legacy in my father's footstep in written word.
Right.
And I think that is what triggered my writing.
So what about this crisscrossing of writing on something like valuation and writing poetry, because these are two different genres altogether. I personally believe that a writer can write anything. There is no such thing that if you start writing something as technical as valuation, you shouldn't be getting into poetry. But have these complemented each other in any sort, because these are two diverse things?
Yeah. So my thinking is that my evolution as a writer of technical writings started first before I ventured into poetry. Okay. How I ventured into writing poetry I will come to later.
Sure.
I entered into though I passed my engineering way back about 40 years back now. I entered the profession of valuation when I was 35, 36.
Okay.
So that was in late 1990s, right? And since valuation by itself was an evolving profession, there was not much writing on this particular subject or aspect of engineering, if we want to say such, previously. So most of us valuers who came into the field in late 90s or early 2000s started learning it by self-teaching. Later on we discovered some books which have been written on valuation later on, and by foreign authors, and some good books we discovered later on were written by Indian writers also. And during our path as valuers also, a lot of good books on valuation got written by Indian writers.
Right.
So there was a sort of a vacuum in this profession of good writing. And there was an effort by fraternity to find good people to speak on valuation.
Okay.
So one of the gurus of valuation by the name Kanaga Sabapati, he is from Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. So he, while interacting with me, while I was interacting with him on one of the seminars where he talked, he found there's some spark in me probably.
Okay.
And he was like insisting on me, you start writing, and we will see how your articles come along.
Yeah.
And once I started writing and sharing with him, he encouraged me to speak on public platforms.
Okay.
And once I started to speak, there was, I could connect with the audience. I think that's a gift which has come to me from where I don't know. But when I speak technical things, I was able to convey the ideas very clearly, and the audience was bonding with me, and they understood what I was saying. So there was a good response to my speeches. And over a period of time, I started to get invites all over India when any seminars on valuation used to be held. And I kept on evolving as a valuer and won many awards also. Gold medal, silver medal by our Institution of Valuers Excellence Award. So all these things I won, and my evolution of as a valuer was organic. So discovering the profession late in the life, and then organically learning it by myself, self-taught, and then discovering the books which were there, and then then started to write myself, and then speaking on that, and then ultimately came the part of writing the book on valuation, which opportunity was only because I was finding myself in a lot of time on my hand during COVID lockdowns.
Oh, okay.
So this book got written over a period of 9 months during the COVID lockdowns. And I was pretty sure when I started writing that I would do a good job. There was absolutely no doubt in my mind when I started writing on valuation that I will do a good job, because I had a lot of exposure on the subject. And that is how this book came about. And I'm happy to say that though the target audience is very limited, because there will be a few thousand valuers in India, my book managed to get a very, very good response. And till now, about 750 copies of the book have been sold.
Great.
So it was very organically evolved sort of evolution as far as technical writing is concerned, and that is how it is.
So how did you come to poetry from this technical background?
Yeah, so that's a very funny thing. As I told you that I always wanted to leave a legacy of written word, but I had not written anything till the time I was say 54.
Oh, okay.
Articles on valuation obviously I had written, and I would speak, but no book published or nothing of that sort. So what happened is this evolution of digital evolution or digital revolution, let us say, that happened, and its WhatsApp groups were formed in so many groups of so many people. So one of the WhatsApp group which was formed was our engineering college mates, and we formed a group. Though we passed in 1984, we had lost contacts, and then group got formed much later on. And when I was say about 54, on the group, one of my classmates was Sridhar Kamath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we studied together. So Sridhar Kamath, being a poet, proposed that he wants to put up a competition sort of on our GEC group, that is Goa Engineering College, and then people could submit their poems, and then he will judge which was the best poem. So this was at the time when I was say about 54 years of age. And what has happened is over a period of time, though I have done a lot of reading in Marathi when I was a young boy in school and all that, over a period of time, because of my profession, the writing has always been in English. Then I went into writing on valuation, though they were only articles, and then talking on valuation and everything. So again, that was all in English. So over a period of time, I found myself that whenever I am thinking something serious or something deep, inadvertently, I didn't try to, but my thinking happened in English. My thinking happened in English. So because of that, when I started to write poem due to the competition which was being held by Sridhar on the group, obviously the first poem itself came out English. It was not that on purpose I wanted to, but it came out that way. And Sridhar liked it, and he sort of encouraged me, okay, you go on writing more poems and all that. But I think though he encouraged me, the real trigger was that I wanted to write because of the influence my father had, and over a period of time it had just remained dormant. But because of that incident when I was say 54 years of age, that triggered it, and I started writing. The reason why I published my first poetry book, which was called as Late Blooms, because poetry happened pretty late in my life, was because suddenly Sridhar expired. Sridhar himself was a very well-known poet and Gitkar. But to my utter horror, I found that not a single book was published. There was nothing legacy left.
Yeah.
So it was left to the others to find what he had written and published.
And publish it.
So and since it was there in me that I should leave a legacy of written word.
Yeah.
I said, see, whatever I have written, I have to publish.
Right.
So फाल्यां सट करून जर हांव मेलो जाल्यार कितें अशें म्हणून तेन्ना हांव कितें पळय पोयमी बरयल्ल्यो ती हांवें गडबड केली आनी तेन्ना हांवें पब्लीश केले. That was when I was about 55 years of age.
Okay.
आणि इवन ISBN नंबर सुद्दां त्या बुकाक घेवना. ते ताका म्हाका मार्केटीय बी करपाक मेळना. पूण once I published it, there was a burden off my shoulder. कितें तरी आतां बरयलें. So आतां कितें तरी आसा. So after that I relaxed and what followed later on was at its own pace. I was not in a hurry to do anything.
Right.
But that first book was in a bit of a hurry that I wanted to publish it somehow.
Yeah. But glad you didn't stop there. And we have threaded musings now. Like you said, the first poem you wrote was in English. But when I read your poems, I see Goa in it. I see Goan landscapes. I see to gado asu, ti devula asu. I see them vividly coming in your poems. So how important it is to connect to the culture where you stay, to the place where you stay, and imbibe those things into your literature.
I think it comes to me very automatically. It is not that I am trying to project in my writings my place specifically. I want to write in Goa, but Goa is there in my blood, right? So whenever I write something, I am a person who is born and brought up in Goa. All my experiences are in Goa. So हांव जेन्ना कितेंय बरयता तेन्ना गोंयपण भितर आसतलेंच न्ही. So unless it is something which is all on my feelings or my sentiments or something, if I have to even convey something which goes things around me, obviously most of those things will be about Goa in particular, and maybe Indian culture in general.
Barabar. Like even when I see the cover of this book, it's a beautiful cover. It's a photograph of Harsh Kamath, Sridhar's son. And म्हणजे आता threaded musings हे जर आम्ही घेतले जाल्यार you could have shown anything, but you have shown this beautiful मोगऱ्याची फाती, which is म्हणजे ती पळयतना सुद्धा त्याचा वास नाकान घुमता म्हणटा तशें. Whose idea was it?
ती आयडिया अशी फुलांची हे माळ करपाची, ताजो फोटो घेवपाचो किंवा अशें गुंतपाची, आनी अशी आयडिया म्हजीच आशिल्ली. सो हांवें हाका हर्षाक सांगलें की म्हाका अशी आयडिया आसा आनी गोंयचीच फुलांची अशी आमी हें करचें म्हणून. सो ताणें बाजारान वचून ते कितलेशेच फुलांच्यो फोटोग्राफ्स काडले. तातूंत रोजांची आशिल्ली, मागीर ह्यो आमच्यो फातयो आशिल्ल्यो, अशें हें आशिल्लें. ते फोटोग्राफ्स हांवें मागीर सगळे पळयले आनी द वन वीच इज नाव फॉर्मिंग द कवर वॉज द वन वीच वॉज सिलेक्टेड. बट आय वॉन्टेड टू हॅव दॅट गोवन फिलींग, द गोवननेस in the cover photograph. So that was there, and I think I'm very happy that it came out well, because so many people have told me that हें पळय तें कवर पळय जें जालां तें तांकां खूबच आवडलें.
बरोबर. महिमा, it is said that the road to a man's heart is through his stomach. आणि ह्या तुमच्या कविता संग्रहान खुबश्यो अश्यो कविता आसा जातून फूड इज अ व्हेरी इंटग्रल पार्ट, बट इट्स नॉट अबाउट द फूड. I would rather call it food for thought, because those poems start on maybe in a restaurant, on a gado, sipping tea, or having a liquor or eating, but it ends on a very different note altogether. So is there a particular love story with food, or places of food that maybe inspire you or somehow triggers you to write more?
I really don't know. This is something which somebody for the first time told me. No, हांवें तसो केन्नाच विचार करूना. पूण I think now that you have said it, probably ताजेर विचार केले जाल्यार I think there could be some connection. ताजेर हांवें केन्ना विचार करूनाशिल्लो, but this is something new and maybe I'll think on this. But what you say is definitely true.
Because you have found Kafka on a gado. And that beautiful poem of Fanta at Walpole. I just cannot, म्हणजे हांवें ती वाचली तेन्ना I started on a very light note and it ended at a very different note altogether. So I would want you to read that poem for our listeners, and maybe you could talk a little about the poem and the idea behind it also.
Yes. आता अन्वेषाबाई कितें जालें की Fanta at Walpole is something which really happened to me. This something and it touched my heart in a different way altogether. These are the times when मोबायल फोन्स हे इतले प्रचलित नाशिल्ले, ते पयलींचे टायमा वयले. सो म्हाका अशेंच एक व्हॅल्युएशनाचें काम आयलें काम आशिल्लें वाळपय सो आमी फोनार उलोवप जालें प्रोबेबली तेन्नाचे लँडलायन बी अशें कितें तरी आनी कांय निकतेंच हे आयिल्ले आसा ती मोबायल पूण त्या टायमा वयले सो आतां आमी कितें म्हणटात ओ खंय येवं म्हाका मातशी तूं पिन धाड पिनी प्रमाणे आमी वतात
लोकेशन
तशें नाशिल्लें सो तेन्ना कितें आशिल्लें ओके हांव हांगच्यान अमक्या टायमाचेर भायर सरतलों 10:30-11 म्हणल्यार हांव अमके कडेन पावतलों सो हांव थंय एक अमके बँके कडेन रावता नाजाल्यार रेस्टॉरंटान रावता बी अशें उलोवप जातालें सो हांवें त्या मनशाक सांगलें की हांव हांगच्यान भायर सरता आनी अमके टायमाचेर सुमार हांव तें एक अमके वाळपय बाजारान किंवा मातशें थंय एक रेस्टॉरंट आसा थंय हांव रावता किंवा ताणें म्हाका सांगलें आसत म्हाका तें एक्झॅक्ट याद जायना सो त्या प्रमाणे हांव गेलो जाल्यार तो मनीस थंय नाशिल्लो म्हणटकीर हांव रेस्टॉरंटान बसलो आनी हांव रेस्टॉरंटान बसलो तेन्ना हो चलो आनी ताजो बापूय ते येवन थंय म्हज्या म्हऱ्यानूच बसले आनी जें कितें पळय घडलें ताजें फंटायन वाळपय पॉयंट इज आमी गोंयांत जेन्ना आमी शहरांनी बी रावतात तेन्ना आमकां तरी आतां कितलीशीच परिस्थिती बरी आसा पयलीं टायमाचेर जी कितें गरिबी आशिल्ली ती आमकां खबर नासता तेन्ना जेन्ना अशें घडलें तेन्ना मनाक खूब लागता तें की इतलें बी जावंक शकता काय सो दॅट वॉज द होल थिंग हॅपन्ड इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी आनी आय वॉज जस्ट अ बायस्टँडर हू पार्टिसिपेटेड इन टू दॅट इन्सिडंट अँड इट लेफ्ट अ डीप impact on me. So I will read that poem.
Sure.
It goes like this. The title is Fanta at Walpoi. The restaurant in the busy bylane of Walpoi is crowded. The Sahyadris form a majestic backdrop. The boy must be 5 or 6. He is sitting there all smiles and chirpy with his father across the table. The father orders a tea for them to share.
Yeah.
I am having salad pav and filter coffee. The boy pleads for Fanta. The father offers water. 3 times it happens. I intervene, order a Fanta for the boy. His joy is boundless, the father grateful.
Yeah.
The boy has his soft drink, the father has tea, I my filter coffee. We are in a state of total contentment. Whenever I update the balance sheet of life, assets and liabilities, the left-hand column begins with Fanta at Walpoi. So this is such a small thing.
Absolutely.
So life actually, what I feel is some total of small things which leave impact on you.
Absolutely.
And those are the things which define your life.
Yeah.
So I must have spent maybe 5 rupees for that Fanta.
Yes.
But whenever I think what are the good deeds I did, the assets on my in my life, this is one of the episode which touches me, and though I have read this poem 100 times, if I am alone and I read it, there are tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
So it touches me.
It's beautiful, and like you said, we all could visualize this poem, and I could very well visualize that this is not something that has happened to something else, or you have just imagined. I was pretty sure that this has happened to you, and now you poured it out in that poem. It's wonderful. Mahendra, one more thing that struck me when I read your poems is there is a search for roots.
Yes.
खंय तरी तुम्ही परत मुळांकडेन वतात.
Yes.
Maybe your ancestors or तुमचे घर, or even history for that matter, like poems like Connect, Temple of My Ancestors, then Family Tree, Roots.
Yeah.
All these poems are somewhere you're trying to go back to your roots.
Yeah.
So what is it? म्हणजे is this something that fascinates you?
It is not only a question of being fascinated, but it's a legacy which has been left to me again by my father.
Right.
So when I was growing up, he would always talk about the history, how we in the subcontinent of India. So about our culture, how we evolved. Then I'm coming from Saraswat community. The history of Saraswat.
True.
So all these things were passed on to me by my father, and I have got a strong connect with the past. So I would also like to think that where we stand today, there may be so many shortcomings of our forefathers.
True.
I mean, I can't say that everything they did was great. Everybody has shortcomings.
Yeah.
So having accepted the shortcomings, we have to accept that we are here in this position only because of them.
Very
so
true.
they would have definitely done something good and we should be proud of. So there is a feeling of pride in my history, the history of the nation, history of my community. So I think it comes to me automatically that I'm gravitated towards all these things.
Yeah,
so I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, and Mahendra, in many poems you also try to strike a dialogue with unseen, like you are trying to strike a dialogue with your own soul, or even death for that matter. In many of your poems, like Nirvana, like Final Descent, these are poems which speak about things that we cannot see with our naked eyes. So was there a deliberate attempt to do that, or this came by as you wrote your poems?
I would say that म्हजो स्वभाव मातसो सेन्सिटीव, सो ताका लागून probably I don't know, म्हजो बाबा गेलो तो असोच झप्प करून गेलो, म्हणजे कळ्ळेंच ना तो आतां वतलो म्हणून. हांव घरांतल्यान भायर सरलो आनी अर्द वरान परतत जाल्यार बाबा गेला. सो that had a great impact on me. And that time I prayed to God की जेन्ना केन्ना म्हज्या आवयचें मरण येता तेन्ना जर हांव त्या टायमार जितो आसलो जाल्यार तिजें मरण म्हज्या हातान येवचें ना. हें देवा कडेन मागलें हांवें आनी तशें जालेंय बी. सो इन अ वे दीस life and death and the impact of a near one, death of a near one, which has on the person, it has always always shaken me to the roots. And somehow because of that death fascinates me. So कितें जाता आसतलें काय, is there something beyond that? So these are the things which I have always, I mean, there's a question mark, there's a search. So I don't know, in future maybe I will veer more towards Adhyat, maybe, I don't know. But so far I'm grounded in my work and my other things. But I think there is this spiritual aspect in me, which I cannot deny.
And we can see that in your poems. And whether you move to spirituality or not, I hope you continue to write. And it may be poems or anything else, but we would be very happy to read more and more from you. Mahendra, आयचो episode सोपयत ना. We would want to listen to another poem, one which is your favorite from this book.
So I would like to read a poem which is called as Our Book. This is a poem which possibly, and I'm sure it is, it is basically the life of me and my wife, what we have spent together. So the title is Our Book. Let me once again tell that this is basically our life, me and Lina. The books on our shelf are waiting patiently to be discovered. Stories of people, diverse and unknown. Some are stacked, others upright, of different sizes and colors, and they smell sweet and musky. Wonder if they tell stories of old struggles to claw out of wet loam, whose scents still linger and scars visible. Of spells of filter, narcotic and heady, of silences which felt like eternity, and of a shared lifetime which even a monk could envy. I hold your wrinkled hand, feel it like when we were young. Somehow there is more strength now in its frailty, more comfort too, like a well-worn quilt. Maybe I should write our poem. Maybe I should write our book before we fade like vapors on the mirror, on which we drew pictures, ephemeral and inconsequential, but true till they lasted. तर हांव कितें म्हणटा की आमच्या लग्ना भितर आमचे जो संवसार आमी केला तातूंत हांव मानता की what we have done is in the whole scheme of cosmos and the universe and the earth and what is happening all around us, it is all inconsequential and it is ephemeral, म्हणजे क्षणभंगर. ताका कांय असो व्हडलो अर्थ आसा आनी तातूंतल्यान व्हडलो कितें इम्पॅक्ट जातलो अशें म्हणजे कांय अपेक्षा ना. पूण इन अवर लायफ we have tried to touch the lives of others around us to the best positive manner in which we can. आमी भुरग्यांक बरे भशेन ल्हानाची व्हड केली, आमच्या आवय बापायक आमी सदांच बरे भशेन रिएक्ट केलें, तांचे बरोबर बरे भशेन वागलीं. आमचे भोंवतणी कोण आसा मित्र मंडळी, आमचे रिलेशन्स सदांच तांचे कडेन बऱ्या भशेन वागल्या. आमचे म्हजे बरोबर हांव काम करता बी ते सगळे हांकांय बी आमी फॅमिली भशेनच ट्रीट करतात. सो एवरीबडी हूज लायफ वी हॅव कम इन टच वीथ, वी हॅव ट्रायड टू टच इट पॉझिटिवली. आनी आमी आमच्या भोंवतणी कितें आसा तें आसा ताज्याकय मातशें बरें करपाचो प्रयत्न केला. सो this is what the point is all about.
Yes, and I think that's what life is all about. This dialogue can continue forever, but I want our viewers to also read your poems. So Threaded Musings is available on Amazon and
Yes.
in bookshops also. So please buy the book, please read the poems, and please Mahendra would be very happy to get your feedback too. And keep joining us at Page Turner. Keep following our pages, Rits and Books and Palashagni Studios, and we'll be back with more episodes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.